Long before the idea of a country called the United States ever existed, the land we now know as North America was vast, wild, and untouched by modern civilization. Towering forests stretched endlessly, rivers flowed freely, and animals roamed in great numbers. There were no cities, no roads, and no borders, only nature in its purest form. But this land was not empty. Around 15,000 years ago, during the last ice age, a group of humans began a journey that would shape the future of an entire continent. They traveled from Asia across a frozen land bridge known as the Bering Land Bridge, which once connected Siberia to Alaska. These early travelers were not explorers in the modern sense. They were survivors, hunters and gatherers searching for food, safety, and a better life. These early settlers became the ancestors of what we now call the Native Americans. Over thousands of years, they spread across the continent, adapting to different environments. In the cold northern regions, they wore animal skins and built shelters from ice and bone. In the forests, they hunted deer and gathered fruits and nuts. In the plains, they followed herds of buffalo, depending on them for food, clothing, and tools. Near rivers and oceans, they became skilled fishermen. Each group developed its own language, traditions, and beliefs. They respected nature deeply, believing that the earth, animals, and sky were all connected. For them, land was not something to own, it was something to live with. As centuries passed, these groups formed tribes and communities. They created stories to explain the world around them, stories of spirits, gods, and the forces of nature. They built tools from stone, bone, and wood. They learned to control fire, grow crops like corn, and build villages. Some tribes became highly organized societies with complex political systems. Leaders were chosen based on wisdom, courage, or spiritual guidance. Their cultures were rich and diverse. Music and dance were part of everyday life. Art was created using natural materials. Oral storytelling passed knowledge from one generation to the next. Even without written language, their understanding of nature, medicine, and survival was remarkable. Classical Building Chapter 4: Advanced Civilizations Beyond. While many Native American tribes lived in smaller communities, other parts of the Americas saw the rise of powerful civilizations. To the south, great empires like the Maya civilization and the Aztec civilization flourished. They built massive cities, developed calendars, and made advances in mathematics and astronomy. Although these civilizations were not located in what is now the United States, their influence spread across the continent and showed what human societies could achieve. For thousands of years, life in North America continued in this way, balanced, connected to nature, and guided by tradition. But far across the ocean, in Europe, a new age of exploration had begun. Sailors and explorers were searching for new trade routes, wealth, and land. Among them was a man named Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus set sail across the Atlantic Ocean and reached the Americas. Although he did not land in what is now the United States, his journey opened the door for others. Soon, ships from Spain, England, and France began arriving on the shores of North America. The world was about to change forever. Crosswords Chapter 6: First Encounters. When European explorers arrived, they encountered Native American tribes for the first time. At first, some interactions were peaceful. They traded goods. Europeans offered metal tools, weapons, and cloth. Native Americans shared food, knowledge of the land, and survival skills. But these peaceful exchanges did not last long. Misunderstandings grew. Cultures clashed. And most tragically, Europeans brought diseases like smallpox, diseases that Native Americans had never encountered before. Entire communities were wiped out. Tornado Chapter 7: A Turning Point. As more Europeans arrived, they began to settle permanently. They built colonies, claimed land, and expanded their territories. This led to conflict. Land disputes turned into battles. Native tribes were pushed away from their homes. Traditional ways of life began to disappear. This period marked one of the most difficult and painful chapters in American history.